Nigerian Twitter is going crazy over the hashtag horrible bosses. And no, it's not the movie, it's a hashtag. People are exposing terrible working conditions, terrible situations with their bosses, and I'm going to talk about it. But at first, a disclaimer. So I make these videos about Nigeria. As you know, I'm Nigerian American. Lived in Nigeria. I left Nigeria when I was 5. Born in New York City, but lived in Nigeria from the age of like around 1 to 5, 1 to 6, and then left Nigeria for the UK. Had been up and down the world, lived in like 13 or so. I can't remember how many cities I've lived in, but I've lived in quite a few cities. I think it's about 13. I don't remember. I have to count. But I've lived in a lot of places. 2017 till what year was that? 2020. So 2017 from about January until 2020. End of the year 2020, I lived in Nigeria. So that's 4 years. Lived in Nigeria, worked in Nigeria, all of that. I give this disclaimer because I get a lot of stupid comments. In fact, I got one just now that really pissed me off. It was like, are you Nigerian? If you're not, don't talk about Nigeria or shut up. And I'm like, first of all, even if I wasn't Nigerian, I will talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. I will talk about it. Okay? But I am Nigerian, and not only am I Nigerian, I've made so many documentaries about the conditions in Nigeria. Everything from the electoral process to, visiting lots of places in Nigeria. Well, let's talk about Lagos and Akwa Ibom and Abuja. But I can't say I've been all over the country, but I've been to a good amount of places, traveled, done interviews with different kinds of people. I think I've done over 100 or more interviews with Nigerians from different parts, from literally people from the top, from President Buhari. Yes, I've interviewed President Buhari, from all the way to the beggar on the streets. I've interviewed everyone. I've gotten so many different perspectives. I've interviewed about 50 plus entrepreneurs about how they run their business. I've interviewed a lot of people, so I get a lot of information from everywhere. So all the stupid comments that whenever I make a Nigerian video, I get so much hate. So much hate. I get a lot of hate. People just come for me because they hear this accent. They don't know that I can change my voice. Is it because I'm doing funny for you? But don't worry, it's okay. We're gonna keep going. So yeah, people just think that they could, they just come for me because they just come for me. They want to protect Nigeria, and I get it. But I'm gonna say whatever I want to say. I'm gonna talk about whatever I want to talk about, and that's just it. That's just the situation, right? So that's my little disclaimer. So anyone that wants to say something stupid in my comments, like I shouldn't talk about Nigeria, blah, 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 I'll talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. Anyway, that's that. And before I even get into the horrible bosses situation, I just want to give part of my disclaimer is the fact that on this platform, I talk about everything. And not only do I talk about everything, it's about cultural trends and all that. So you could literally see me talking about anything, but my audience is global. I have about a 50% American audience, just over 50, depending on what platform. On TikTok, it's around 50 something percent. On YouTube, it's around 70 or 60%. On Instagram, it's around that 70, 80 mark American. But then I also have people literally from India, people from, the UK, obviously, Canada, Ghana, South Africa, all sorts of places. So people from all over the world are listening to my content. I think part of my motive here is not to leave Africa out of the conversation. I want to I talk about stuff that happens in the US. I talk about popular culture in the US and politics in the US, but I also talk about Africa because you don't get that from, you don't really get that. People talking about the world. You can see me talk about China. I made a whole documentary where I talk about China. And you see, that just is my nature because I'm a global citizen. I travel a lot. Aside from me living in so many cities around the world, I literally travel a lot. I go and explore. And I'm not the kind of traveler that just stays in the hotel room and goes to the beach and no. I get down with the locals. I go visit all the locals. I try all the local food. I wander the streets. I integrate in the culture. That's just who I am. I love to explore. So I'm always going to strive to come from a global perspective, or at least the perspective that I understand, from my experiences, because you are a product of your experiences in life. So even in Nigeria, some people will say, okay, well, I come from technically the upper class in Nigeria, but at the end of the day, I'm still the person that goes into Makoko and makes documentaries in Makoko, goes into the slums, talks to people, goes into people's different living situations, and really ingrain myself in that culture and understand how people are living. But anyway, let's talk about horrible bosses. Now, yeah, so this thing is going on Twitter. There was like a Twitter Spaces, Twitter stealing Clubhouse's whole IP, but Twitter's done it bigger and better, because I don't think I've seen a Clubhouse room that has gone over almost 300,000 views on it. I don't know, but I don't think I've seen that. But Twitter Spaces seems to be, prevailing. But anyway, let's talk about this. So people talk about horrible bosses in Nigeria. So there are a few things that we need to think about this, right? We need to think about when we're talking about horrible bosses in Nigeria. And I always try to take a middle ground approach. I don't want to take sides. I always want to see from both perspectives, and I totally understand from both perspectives. So that's what I'm going to be offering here in this video: the perspective of the employee that's being abused, and then the perspective of a horrible boss. Because believe it or not, I've also had a business in Nigeria and had employees, so I understand some of the pain points for these bosses and why they're implementing things the way they're doing. But I also, again, do not agree with the abuse, especially the excessive abuse that you hear about from these bosses. And at the end of the day, I can't speak for any boss that has maybe abused, maybe has abused their employees. I'm not defending anybody, and I definitely 100% do not take accountability for anybody's actions but my own, right? I don't take accountability for anyone, nobody apart from myself. So don't try and link me to anybody that you know is a horrible boss. I'm not going to take accountability for them. But let's get down to this. Let's talk about horrible bosses in Nigeria. First and foremost, we have to understand that when it comes to Nigeria, the entry point for entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur is zero. So most Nigerians are entrepreneurial. Even people that are employees in companies, because you're not getting paid enough money, you still have to hustle and find a way to supplement your income. And even people that are begging on the streets, people that are daily wagers, they're all entrepreneurs. They're all hustling every day, figuring out how to make money. So the entry point for entrepreneurship in Nigeria is really low. And it's a chicken and egg situation. It's a chicken and egg situation because the fact that the entry point for entrepreneurship in Nigeria is super low. It's literally $0. And all these people on the streets, they're technically entrepreneurs. For you to employ someone, right? For you to employ someone to work for you in Nigeria, well, it's just I need assistance in doing this. I'm on the streets. I'm not talking, obviously not everyone's on the streets. And yes, these horrible bosses that they're pointing out are on the corporate side of things, even though they are small businesses. But I want to first give you the cultural context, right? So hustling on the streets, and I just want somebody to assist me in getting this job done right here, right? So I'll just pull anybody, right? So therefore, I have no checks and balances. I have no structure. I have no paperwork, nothing to implement these processes. And I just want to say this microscopic example is what the bigger picture looks like. Because at the end of the day, most people don't know the laws, because there might be very strong laws in Nigeria for employees, employee-worker relations and all of that. Very strong laws, but what about implementation? There's no implementation, and workers just do not know their rights. And even if workers did know their rights, we have such a terrible legal system. Literally, it's not even digitized. The courts are not even digitized, right? The criminal cases are not even digitized. So we have a very archaic, very slow, very primitive, I'll call it primitive, call a spade, primitive legal system that even if I were to sue my boss, I can't take that thing through court and actually pass this case in an effective amount of time. And that's why I will consistently say Nigeria is a lawless country. I know people are going to bash me. Oh my God. I think part of the bashing is because people feel as though I'm disgracing Nigeria for the world, and so they want to protect Nigeria. But at the end of the day, I talk this much crap about the US. I talk this much crap about any country where there's a lack of accountability. So this is what I do. I'm going to talk. It's not like I'm talking crap. I'm just talking about it. I'm pointing out the bad things so that we can all look to it to fix it. And so if Nigerians keep trying to hide our misbehavior from outsiders, right? And that's your mentality, instead of fixing from within, instead of actually trying to pinpoint the issues and fix it from within, you're too busy caring about the things that are not important, the superficial things like how you're perceived by outsiders. Get the hell out of here. Like, honestly, I don't have time for that. I'm right here in Washington, D.C., and since the invasion of Ukraine, how many videos have I bashed the US? But no American comes and bashes me for bashing America, because it's okay to hold America accountable. So when I come to, hold Nigeria accountable, all the Nigerians in the comment section want to attack me. First of all, I have thick skin. I don't really care. But calm down, and we have to look at the issue so that we can actually fix it. And this is why I have so many documentaries where I actually even break down these issues. Why don't we have secured electricity in Nigeria? Why don't we have a strong legal system? Why don't we have all these things? I've actually gone and investigated this stuff and made documentaries about this stuff. So let's keep going. So we have a really poor legal system, right? And so you can't really, even if you did take your case to court, even to get this person prosecuted, even to get this through the court process, is a hassle that it's pointless. So there's an issue with implementing laws in Nigeria. Yes, we have strong laws, but the issue is implementing the laws, and the corruption. The process of implementation causes a lot of corruption, and people just can't afford. So if you have a horrible boss in Nigeria, you can't even afford to sue that boss for their actions, which is terrible. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Number one, low barrier to entry. So anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody and everybody is an entrepreneur. Two, there are laws, but there's poor implementation. Three, poor corporate governance. There's really very bad corporate governance in Nigeria. And corporate governance is holding your bosses, holding the office accountable for its actions. It's really difficult to get strong corporate governance. And because at the end of the day, when we're doing, like I said, most of these companies are built off of just by a whim. There's no sort of structure in building it. Most people are only going to run small businesses. Most businesses are going to fail. So it's literally almost like freelancers, individual solo companies being run in Nigeria. That's most companies, right? So the idea that you would even implement some sort of corporate governance is difficult. Now, let's take it, that's like a microscopic look at it. I want to take it to the bigger sense when we're actually talking about real companies with real employees. I've been seeing a lot of people going after their bosses, attacking their bosses, and a lot of it is justified. I saw this comment about Coca-Cola paying employees 400 Naira per day, and just thinking about how the Naira, that's less than $1 a day. Jesus, and how the Naira is declining every day and the price is staying the same. And Coca-Cola, how much money is Coca-Cola making around the world? That is modern day slavery, for sure. So Coca-Cola is an example. We have a lot of American companies when they hire Nigerian tech people or even people in advance in Nigeria, they'll pay them the Naira rate. They'll pay, instead of them to pay them $100,000, which is what they should pay them for the work the person is going to do, they're going to pay them $10,000 for the year, because that's the rate in Nigeria, right? So, and even though that's a decent salary in Nigeria, it's crazy to me that they can get away with this. So let's not look at it like it's only Nigerians that are exploiting. These American companies or these foreign companies that come to Nigeria to work also exploit. Let's also talk about the racism in the workplace, the fact that if you are a foreigner, and specifically if you are white, you have to be a white foreigner, you come to work in Nigeria, you'll get a good salary. You'll get maybe $10,000-$20,000 a month, depending on, I'm talking about a big company, like an oil company or whatever. But in that same company, they could have somebody who schooled in the UK, did all these things, but because they're Nigerian, and I even know someone who she doesn't even have a Ghanaian passport. This happens in Ghana too. Doesn't even have a Ghanaian passport. She has a British passport. She's black, but because she's black, they paid her the same rate that they pay every other person, every other local, which is like less than $1,000 a month. So the exploitation happens on different levels, and it's done by international conglomerates. And these systems also allow these entrepreneurs that hit big, because most entrepreneurs are not going to hit big, but the ones that do hit big, because the system is so bad around the country, they continue to abuse that system. So I think there should be laws that are implemented that says if you earn, like, I don't know how much money, you have to increase, like, your salaries should be relative to the amount of money that you earn, right? So that's another thing with salaries. But then there are so many things, like, I don't even want to get into sexual assault. That's a whole documentary that I started making a documentary about sexual assault in the workplace in Nigeria. I'm not sure when I'm going to release that, but it's really scary. That's a whole other conversation that's really, really disturbing. I don't want to get into that. Very disturbing. But yeah, there's a general issue with the corporate governance structure and all of that. Now, so I've given you the employee perspective. I've given you, I'm going to put some hashtags, some of these tweets, people coming after by horrible bosses. And I know some of these people that they've come after, which is so interesting. And I think it's unfortunate, but I do, as somebody that has run a business in Nigeria, in fact, everyone in my family, pretty much everyone in my family, or everyone in my nuclear family, is an entrepreneur or has some form of entrepreneurship, all but one. And so I'm really exposed to different types of entrepreneurship in Nigeria. And speaking for myself, one of the things that really sort of got under my skin was the level of, oh man, this is going to sound really terrible. I don't know how to explain this, but let's just acknowledge that we have a really big issue with education in Nigeria and skill training, right? But at the same time, we have so many college graduates that are not able to get jobs because in universities, they're not teaching them the right skills for them to take into the workplace. And I keep telling people this, you guys just need to go online, buy some online courses so you can become skilled in the digital era, but just in different areas, and so you can be the best. So there are a lot of people that have been trained online and have gotten the best skills, but let's just call a spade a spade. Generally speaking, Nigeria's education system is not the strongest, so there's not a lot of strength that comes out of its strength in the workforce. Depending on I don't even want to say that, because there are a lot of trained people in Nigeria that are very qualified. In my craft as a filmmaker, it's a highly technical skill that requires immense attention to detail and requires specificity and requires all sorts of things. So I can't speak for other businesses, but in my business, when somebody makes one mistake, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And the thing about my industry is, for you to hire somebody that is competent, the pay is so high because it's an industry that is high in demand. So then when you hire what you can afford to hire, the competence level is so low. So my solution to that, unfortunately, has been two things. Number one, don't hire people, just do the work yourself. Because my thing is, like, if I'm editing something and you edit it, first of all, you take forever to do something that would have taken me 15 minutes. It's taking you 3 days to edit something that would have taken me 15 minutes. That's already a problem. Then secondly, you're just so incompetent. I'm sorry, I've just dealt with so much incompetence. You're so incompetent. I just have PTSD. I don't even want to think about it. It's so stressful. But basically, my point is that if I can do it in 15 minutes, I might as well do it. So that's my first solution, doing that. My second solution, unfortunately, is hiring people on Fiverr. Hiring people in other third world countries that have a stronger education system, like Bangladesh or India. And it sounds like a sellout, but at the end of the day, you need the work done. And I'm all about Black economic empowerment. I'm all about building, but it's about training staff, right? You need to be able to train. You have to create training programs. But here's the issue with training programs. You can't build a business. If you have to build a business to train people, right? You hire people so that you train them, you're setting your business backwards. When you're in the growing stage, you need to grow. So the way I see it is, this is my solution. When it comes to growth, I need to do what I need to do to grow. I can't hire below me. I have to hire people that are more competent than me, especially in those specific fields, in those niches. That's why I go on Fiverr to hire the best. But when it comes to helping build Nigeria, this is why I make online courses for people to purchase the courses, and you can learn how to focus on build yourself in that craft. And so I highly advise anyone that wants to use a skill that's useful in the 21st century, go online, get these online courses, and learn how to be a main competitor in that field. And here's the thing, you don't only have to work in Nigeria, you can work internationally. There are people on Fiverr making like $500,000 a year. They're making so much money. So I think that, what I know is that if there's so much energy that goes into scamming out of Nigeria, and hey, let's talk about it. Everybody scams around the world. They always love to pinpoint Nigerians as scammers. But look at the past, all the scammers that we've seen on Netflix this year have all been white. But either way, there is a lot of scamming in Nigeria. We can't deny that. But what I will say is that instead of focusing on scamming and doing those illegal activities, why not focus on skilled labor so you can make legitimate money online instead of scamming, right? So I think that all these people, there's so much talent in Nigeria, but the talent is focusing on the wrong things, and people need to enter the digital economy and start making money globally, right? Start making your money globally. So skill sets. So back to the thing about horrible bosses and understanding that perspective, there's a lack of skills. And when you're dealing with incompetence because of the poor education system, just like poor primary education, poor secondary education, then, the issues with skills, getting trained skills, then that's when you get people get upset with incompetence. And that's where the shouting comes into play, the temper comes into play, all of those things come into play. And that's why you hear about these bosses that go crazy, but unfortunately, it's my solution to that has just been, unfortunately, to let everybody go. I didn't have that many staff. I had 3 people working for me, but to let them go and do it myself and hire people that are competent only. At this stage, I only ever hire competence. I don't even have the patience to work with incompetence. It's not even possible. And unfortunately, not everyone can do that in every business. Not everyone can do that, right? So they have to hire these people in their offices. And unfortunately, the reason why your boss is shouting at you, the reason why all of this is happening is because there's a high level of incompetence. And I got a really good quote from someone that incompetence brings out the worst in you, which is unfortunate. So that's one perspective, right? The incompetence level. But then there's the extreme horrible boss, the people that, are bringing the police to beat up their staff, the people that are beating their staff themselves, which is, I don't even understand that. That's, inhumane. There's so many levels of abuse, right? And because we don't have a strong legal system, it's actually just quite disturbing that people can get away with these things. I think in the case of beating your staff, I think that's horrible. I also think that getting the police to beat off staff is horrible. But at the same time, I can recognize that if you hire the police to arrest somebody, you shouldn't hire the police. If you get the police to arrest someone for committing a crime specifically, it is up to the legal system to put them through that legal system. Unfortunately, our legal system isn't strong. So then people just pay the police to beat their staff, which is like jungle justice in a way. But I can't sit here and say that if you get the police to arrest someone for committing a crime specifically, it is up to the legal system to put them through that legal system. Unfortunately, our legal system isn't strong. So then people just pay the police to beat their staff, which is like jungle justice in a way. But I can't sit here and say that Nigeria is any worse than the United States in that regard, because there's like literally death is a punishment in America for crime. There are some states in America that you can die. They will kill you, the capital punishment, for committing a crime. Now, getting a beating versus death seems quite extreme. And sure, you could argue that the legal system is in place in America to sweep through that process to ensure that, you know, this person really does deserve the capital punishment, but they'll go through processes, and those processes don't happen in Nigeria. But ultimately, we know that there's corruption in America in the legal system, because if you're Black or if you're a person of color, they might swindle you through that process and expedite it and ensure that you get killed. So I mean, that's corruption in the American system. That's a version of corruption that skews towards like incarcerating Black people, especially, but people of color, you know, and ensuring that they are over punished for their time in jail. So that is, if anything, that's a human rights violation that America needs to pay for, in the process of America paying for reparations and all that stuff. But focusing on Nigeria here, at the end of the day, the real issue, the underlying issue that people need to focus on is the electoral process. Thank God now they've digitized the voting process. So you guys really need to vote, and not just for the presidential figure, but also your local government, because the only way to fix these systems is to actually fix the government frameworks that attacks these systems. So why is the issue? What's the issue here? It's literally the legal process. We need to revise the Nigerian legal process. We need to digitize the legal process in Nigeria. Once you have done that, you know, there will be better record taking. You know, like literally, if you want to find a case, you have to go into, it's disgusting. You want to find a case, you have to literally go into a hall and look like through all the papers from like till the beginning of time. And sometimes those buildings get burned down when somebody wants to hide a crime. So it's like the fact that the legal process isn't digitized, that's one of the reasons that corruption is allowed to continue. Yes, as much as you hate your horrible boss, as much as you hate all these things, focus on what can actually improve the systems in Nigeria to make it a better country. And that legitimately is about voting for the right people in your local government, voting for the right people and holding those people accountable for theft and all those things, and ensuring that they put into place systems. Like, you guys can protest, instead of protesting NSARS, and like NSARS is very good, but you guys can protest other issues in the country. Like the fact that let's digitize the legal process. Let's make the legal process more seamless so that we can actually hold people accountable when they commit crimes. In fact, I think that should be the main focus. That should be one of the main focuses in the country. Digitizing and improving the legal systems. But they're never going to want to do that because it empowers corruption. People benefit from that. But until we do that, we're going to continue to live, or Nigeria is going to continue to be a lawless country until you do that. So yes, horrible bosses suck. Yes, all the things that happen in the workplace are disgusting, but it's just a version of all the horrible things that happen across the nation in various ways. And those things are never going to be fixed until we fix the legal system. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace.